Hello, listeners. Fantastic reviews for our last podcast on films. And we've loved reading your suggestions about the underrated films and your underrated picks. So, thank you so much for that. And this week, Aditya and I are back with our penultimate episode. This topic is about the three things that we've been talking a lot, like frequently discussing about during this quarantine, especially. So, we're going to be making a small discussion on each of the three topics. The first topic is environment. It's very close to my heart, and obviously, a lot of my friends know that about me.
Yeah, Priyanka, I know that you love your environment and the environment around you, to be more specific. And yeah, one of the biggest examples for that would be your garden, probably. And all of us really love getting mangoes from your garden. I don't know much about gardening, but I know for a fact that your garden looks beautiful, especially after you did all the renovation and took effort to maintain it even better. So tell us more about your garden because that's something uh, amazing, to be honest.
Garden is sort of my family's hobby. In fact, my grandparents, my parents, everyone, loves being around plants and taking care of plants. That's why, and that's how I fell in love with nature. So my garden, yeah, it has a lot of ethnic trees and fruit plants and other useful plants apart from crotons and other flower plants. So everyone who has even a little amount of space can do a bit of gardening and cultivate vegetables and be a little self-sufficient that way. What do you think?
No, definitely. I mean, we can all do the little we can, and uh, gardening, yeah, like a small plant. Starting with a small plant is a good idea, actually. It might be difficult to go full fledged in the beginning, but yes, taking baby steps and not only like growing plants, even other things like taking small steps in any aspect to make sure, like, your negative impact on the environment is minimized is a good idea. It's doable, if you ask me. So what are the small things? I know you're like really, you have been really into like trying to do minimum harm to the environment. So what are the things you think anybody can incorporate into their life, so that the environment is least affected?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, the first thing that I would like to state is that nobody is perfect when it comes to, being very eco friendly. Everyone does a little bit of harm on the environment. Whatever products or services we consume is definitely, impacting the environment. But some basic things that I've learned over the years to incorporate in my life, I'm just going to state them one by one. So you said, I give mangoes out to friends. I realized, this year when I was trying to get the mangoes and distribute it to the neighbors, I could not find even one plastic cover in my house. So, if you had asked me a couple of years back, I would have a cover with covers inside them, plastic cover with covers inside them. I think that's very relatable. Most of our houses we had that, but now I couldn't even spot one cover. So everything has been replaced with cloth bags, and thanks to the ban, actually, a lot of plastic covers have come down. So that's a very simple, doable thing, to eliminate single use plastic in your life, with respect to covers or whatever. So, first, minimizing plastic, that's the main thing. And the second is fast fashion. We've, made this a huge topic. Like, repeating clothes is such a huge mistake or crime nowadays. Repeating, if I'm wearing the same clothes, like, I get a lot of question, like, don't you have any other clothes? Why are you wearing the same clothes? I've invested in this cloth. I really like wearing this particular t-shirt, and I'm going to be repeating it, until I get bored. So, repeating clothes, we have got to stop discriminating people for doing that. It's really important to invest in durable clothes. And fast fashion has to be discouraged a bit. We need to invest in clothes, even if it's big brands or even if it's costly. We've got to invest in clothes that have durability, that we really can do. And the third thing is, Indians, we have always been reusing products in different ways. and repurposing it into different products. For example, our grandmother's sari or our mother's sari, we used to stitch it and convert it into pattu pavadai or davani for young girls, or some sort of crafts we used to make out of old things. So that is sort of something that I am trying to incorporate. So when I get glass bottles, I try to convert them into, I paint on them or convert them into water pots or something like that. So whatever things that you can repurpose, I think we can make an effort to repurpose those. And minor things like carrying water bottles wherever we can, or avoiding to buy plastic bottles, that is, and carrying cloth bags whenever we go to shop. So these are some of the things that we definitely can do. And if anyone has garden space, we can plant ethnic trees that are okay for our soil, and not just they must bind the soil, and they must be also useful, like giving us fruits, or not just for show. So ethnic trees can be planted, whoever has a little bit of garden space. And if you have just a terrace garden space, you can just try to plant vegetables that can be very useful for you as well. So these are some of the things that the tips or suggestions, or what are the things that I have incorporated in my life. How about you, Atti?
Man, you have been doing a lot. I think my lifestyle changes are majorly restricted to feeding the banana peel to the cow which comes in front of our house. So nothing. No, actually, what you said is right. If we move back to minimalism and not like by avoiding fast fashion, and yeah, that's a good start, because just moving back to the basics is a good idea, because buying things which last longer is much better than buying things which are going to uh, need replacement in a short span. It's bad for the environment, it's bad for your pocket, it's bad for basically everything. You waste time going and buying new stuff, so that's actually useless. Definitely, I think Indian culture has a lot of things which promotes reusing and recycling. My grandmother reuses all calendar pages as like notebooks, rough paper, and all that. So we can learn a lot from our grandparents in this aspect, is what I feel, especially for the environment.
Absolutely.
So I definitely agree with you.
I mean, so it's something like this. Like, not everyone is perfect, right? So take, you can try to do slow travel when you're traveling, or whatever you're doing. Even the minutest thing that you do, if everyone does, minute small steps, taking the steps in the right direction, that's gonna make a huge difference, definitely. Um, so whatever you do, don't think that it's small. So. Uh, so whatever steps you're taking in the right direction, this definitely helps with respect to environment.
Definitely, because growing up, I've realized that and we've got to take care of the environment around us, because we have to live for a lot of more years on this planet, and we can't mess it up so much. We can't afford to mess it up so much. And growing up, there are so many bombardment of new things which we are facing as millennials. I feel like money is a huge aspect, and we are having to deal with it on a daily basis now that we're working from undergrad, I would say. um, Growing up, like managing our money, going to college, everything. And one recent thing which I have realized, or my mindset has changed about money, in the aspect that uh, I want to think of money as a tool, and I want to figure out how can I use money to make me happy in the long term, and what are my responsibilities, what do I need to take care of. Some might have a loan, some might have to take care of their family. And yeah, I think it's very important to think of money in that, from that perspective, like what makes you happy, how to use the money you make to make yourself happy and people you love happy. What do you think, Priyanka?
Definitely. Money, I think it's something that you and I discuss a lot about, and we're still learning a lot from our parents, from our relatives, friends, and what I've noticed in my life is I think I've been very responsible towards money until I was, in college. And then when I started working, I did not have a track of what I was doing, how I was spending the money. I was ordering, on Swiggy all the time. And one day I would notice the balance is not there, or I would, keep doing online shopping and I would not realize where my money goes. And the end of the month, I would, like, still try to figure out how and what happened to this money that I had in my account. So recently, something that I have restarted is to plan the budget for every month. So I know I used to make fun of elders trying to go to the bank all the time to print out their passbook and keep. So but now I'm thinking, let me print out my transactions and have an actual physical record of where my money goes exactly. So now I've restarted budgeting and separating and allocating money for what all expenses I will definitely be needing that month, and how much I need to save for my other needs or goals. So this sort of goes back to the topic that we spoke a couple of weeks back about career. What you said is true. We need to look at long term happiness, long term freedom. So budgeting and allocating money, or learning to invest, these things where to save money for your future, or insurance for your parents or whatever. So that is very important. What do you think? What have you learned so far from managing your own finances over the last couple of years?
Uh, Personally, I think I enjoyed budgeting the first time I did it. I know it sounds very strange, but I looked at how much I have spent over 6 months, and like probably took an average of it to figure out how much I would actually be needing, how much I would need to spend every month. And before that, I actually figured out what are my commitments, what are my responsibilities, and I tried to make sure, or what are my goals. For instance, I would like to travel twice a year. So setting that goal and figuring out approximately how much I would need, how much money I would need for that, and splitting it over a year or something to figure out how much I need to save a month so that I can actually achieve these goals. And yeah, so I figured out that you need to save before you spend. So according to me, say if I want to save uh, 20% of my salary, then only 80% is my salary, is what's in my head. So I think that has helped me a lot if I save before I spend, because that restricts the amount of money you have. And yeah, that's fun, that's fun. I've started thinking it's fun now. I'm telling myself it's fun. And one more thing I've realized is that since we're all growing up and our parents are also growing old, so I think it's important to look at insurance for them, health insurance for them, because when I look at costs in hospitals, I'm like shocked. I have no words for it. I get so scared looking at the costs of operations, of like staying for a day in a hospital. It's crazy. Like yeah, so before they reach that retirement age, I think if we get a policy which we can renew over their lifetime, I think that would be a that would like save us from a lot of potential troubles, I think. So I think that's something which I've realized. And just building the mindset and good habits related to money, like building that saving mentality is pretty good, because then you can, once you are done with the initial roadblock of knowing how to save, then you can proceed to figuring out a passive income for yourself and things like that. So the fundamentals is saving, is what I personally feel. Also, I think it's pretty part of the Indian culture as to save. So yeah, that's what I think.
Very true. I mean, I like what you're saying about, being quantifiable. I think that's where I went wrong. Like, I knew I had to save. I knew I had to save this much, but, I didn't make it quantifiable. I think that's something we need to learn. What is your goal? How much would you like to earn, and make it quantifiable and plan accordingly with respect to finances to avoid, last minute havoc. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. And one more thing I think, which I have developed knowledge about recently, is credit cards. I think my parents were very averse about credit cards. They did not. I don't think they. I think they had one, but they did not want to use it because they were scared of the word credit.
Right.
And rightfully so. I feel it's rightfully so, because I think credit as such is not a great thing, and unless we have that discipline to, uh, pay and not buy things which we don't need, uh, we shouldn't be owning a credit card. That's what I have realized. It can be used for good things once we have acquired that discipline, but before that, definitely. I think our parents were right this time. I've noticed this: as we grow older, we become more conservative, so even fiscally conservative, I would say. So
Yes.
yeah, what do you think? What do you think about credit cards?
Yeah, credit cards. I think a lot of people can, relate to what you said, because credit card, it's been always associated with something really scary, something you're never supposed to use, and something you can, not touch at all. It's be locked up in the cupboard somewhere. That's it. So, um, I mean, unless you know how to properly manage your credit card, I don't think it's a wise option to exactly use it.
Yeah, I think if we just go back to the basics in all aspects, be it environment, be it finance, in all aspects of our life, we can definitely make sure we are able to bring about positive changes in our life, because we have a lot of things going on in our life. We can't make drastic changes. We have to figure out our career, we have to figure out our finances, and then we also have to make sure we are a decent human being and being nice to the environment around us. So there are a lot of things on our plate. And also, yeah, wellness, we need to, that's something we always talk about: wellness, gentle wellness. We need to take care of that also. So yeah, what do you think about wellness actually?
Yeah. No, wellness is very, very important. And yeah, I mean, I learned, to be very honest, I learned only after mistakes how important health is. I've been very, hugely sedentary after college. College was, it pulled a lot of energy. So I kept walking around, running around. And after college, it became very sedentary for me. So only after, making a mistake, I've learned how important health is. What I've come to recently understand is being healthy in the mind is very important to be healthy in the body, and positivity and positive attitudes towards health, towards mental health and physical health is very, very important. And I'm still learning that, but I can tell you that it's very important because I can feel the difference when I am positive in the mind. The body is actually fine, and I'm able to take care of myself. So that's something I've come to learn. And mindfulness. So, when you're doing any activity, if you're 100% focused and mindful about what activity you're doing, the productivity increases, and that productivity gives you confidence, and in turn makes you a very healthy and active person. So, that's what I've come to learn in recent times, which has really, really worked for me.
That's nice, actually. I think you told me once about mindfulness when I was telling you that I was making a lot of mistakes at things things I was doing, reports I was making. So I think you suggested this to me. I've still not done anything about it, but yeah, I think that's important, right? That you're just focusing on what you're doing at that very moment. That's quite important. But also, I feel that quarantine has pushed everything down the drain, because there's this Tamil word Betty. So
Yes.
yeah, we're all like kind of, we don't know, we have lots of time on our hands, and we need to um, find out something to do. So we just tend to do like waste our time doing useless things, not focusing on our health, taking things for granted. So I think that's very relevant in today's times, especially during these quarantine, or this during this lockdown period, work from home period, whatever you might call it. So how was your lifestyle before quarantine? Were you involved in any activity after you took your break?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, quarantine has made us all very sluggish and lazy. Even those who were like regularly working out are finding it really difficult now. Home workouts, I mean, I find like very few of my friends doing and which works for them. That's great. But to be honest, I've been very sluggish. I have not been doing much because my workout thing was swimming. So I used to go swimming every morning during my break, so that was amazing. So every morning I used to eat fruits for breakfast and swim. So, the whole day workout, like I would feel energized the whole day because I did that in the morning. So I can't swim right now, and I've been trying to do some activity during the quarantine like yoga, but it's been very difficult to maintain the consistency. But swimming actually, helped me control PCOD. That's a condition that's very, sadly, very common right now with a lot of, among a lot of women. Um, so, for PCOD, it's very important to have some sort of physical activity, which swimming really helped me during that time. I'm trying to get back to doing some physical activity during the quarantine, but I'm still struggling with that. How about you?
Before this quarantine, I was pretty active. I did not have intentionally active lifestyle. It's just that I have to walk a lot to my office. So that way my morning routine was set. I would make myself a cup of coffee, then have a fruit, and then go for work, walk to work. So that was pretty fun. But then after this quarantine started, I felt like very lazy, as you said, and I've just started working out again. So let's see how. I hope I'm able to build consistency in that. And I really think, with respect to working out, we need to find an activity which we enjoy. Last year, I did find some activity. It was Gaelic football and was super fun, but I was not able to continue it because it was too far. And yeah, when you said about swimming, right? I used to hate swimming in school, and I used to give all sorts of nonsense reasons to avoid it. So physical activity as such is should ideally be something which you enjoy a lot, because it not only makes it possible for you to sustain it over time, but uh, yeah, you will be happy doing it. That's the most important thing, right? I think if we keep every activity we do, end goal should be that it should add some positive impact in our life, and it should make us happy in the long term. I think we would know what to do. So I think it's definitely very important to find some activity which you enjoy. And there is one thing which I've always kept in mind. During our last day in school, there was a classmate of ours who wrote in our these not slam books, but you give like these diaries to people as to write something on the last day and all. So he had written that you should always continue sports, and you should make sure it's a part of your life. And I think that's important, because sports can be anything, as you said, yoga, swimming, or football, or running, or anything of that sort. Because uh, it's a good lifestyle to have. That's a good lifestyle to build. I think that's one of the ground rules everyone should have in their life.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
something
I
to enjoy.
agree with you. So I mean, about finding an activity that you really like, that's very important. So these three things I think that we discussed today are the three things that we frequently talk about, but they're also the three things that if you're in your 20s, you can give attention to, and make this invest in these three things, that is environment, finances, planning your finances, and wellness, physical and mental wellness. So when you focus on these three things, I think you're going to invest for a happier, healthier, safer future for yourself. And
Yeah, thank you guys. Priyanka rightfully said, like, we should figure out these things in small ways possible, in whatever way is possible for us. And yeah, as she said in the beginning, this is the penultimate episode, and we would like to get your suggestions if you have any about what you want us to talk about in the next episode, the last one in this season. Okay, bye guys. Thank you very much. See you next week.